all of you. So, the next part of this class on bonding, we will see that the different geometries how can affect the corresponding ordering the corresponding d orbital ordering in a particular crystal field. So, if we have an octahedral crystal field and if we can move to a square planar one, that we all know that this is obtained by putting 6 ligands around the metal center and this by putting 4 ligands around the metal center. And since the splitting is different, we can have the different ordering of these orbitals, and these orbitals can take off these different types of electrons, and the properties of the corresponding complex what we can have, which is a square planar one, and that we have seen in case of nickel 2, palladium 2 and platinum 2. So, these all we know from our school days about the corresponding valence bond picture, that these compounds are all diamagnetic. That means, only 4 orbitals would be available for the occupancy of 8 electrons from the d8 level. So, we have the d8 electronic configuration, and these electrons can be accommodated within 4 orbitals. So, this 8 electrons will remain paired within the 4 orbitals, and one of the orbital will be the corresponding vacant orbital. So, all these properties and reactivities and all will be changing as we move from one particular environment to the other, and this particular vacant orbital is most important and most interesting, and it can play some important role in the corresponding compounds of nickel, palladium and platinum. So, next we will move for the next part, that means the bonding in complexes part 4. We will see here that if we just move, that means if we add one more ligand to the square planar geometry, or in a reversed way, reversed direction, if we consider that you take out the bottom ligand from the xy plane in a octahedral geometry. In an octahedral geometry, you take out one ligand from the bottom of the xy plane, or you put one extra electron to the square planar geometry, how the corresponding ordering of the different d orbitals can take place. So, that basically gives us some idea that how we derive it starting from the corresponding octahedral geometry or a corresponding square planar geometry. So, if we take out that particular ligand from an octahedral geometry, what we see that originally in octahedral geometry, this dxz, dyz and dxy, these 3 belong to the T2g set, and dx square minus y square and dz square, these 2 were in the EG set. Now, what is happening? We are just stabilizing the particular axis, that means the z axis. So, instead of double z out situation, this is a single z out situation from the octahedral compound. So, one of the ligand we are pushing from ml distance to an infinite distance. So, we are just pushing it towards the infinity. So, this particular orbital will be stabilized. So, the orbitals having z component will definitely be stabilized. So, from the EG set, the dz square will be stabilized. So, dz square will be of low energy compared to dx square minus y square. Similarly, from the T2G set, the orbitals having the z component like dxz and dyz would be stabilized compared to dxy. So, this is a very simple crystal field diagram to be drawn for a square pyramidal geometry, where you see that we have a doublet, one singlet and one singlet. So, 3 levels would be singlet and 1 will be doublet. So, if we can have the corresponding electron occupancy for the system such as for nickel 2 plus, we will find that 1, 2, 3, 4 orbitals will be paired, and in this particular geometry also we expect the nickel 2, palladium 2 and platinum 2 in basically a corresponding square pyramidal geometry in the bivalent state will all be diamagnetic. So, not only square planar geometry, but also the square pyramidal geometry for these metal ions can give us 2 diamagnetic compounds. So, and we should all be able to write the corresponding electronic configuration in this particular geometry. If we are going to write it, how we can write? We can write it in square planar to square pyramidal. If it is say for nickel 2 plus, which is 3D8, and this 3D8 situation can be tackled very nicely if we just consider it as the corresponding levels as xz and yz. Then we have the xy, then z square, and finally, so it would be dxz2, dyz2, dxy2 and dz square 2. So, compared to the square planar environment, we have the vacancy here. Similarly, here also we have this one also a vacant level in the xy plane for the square pyramidal geometry. So, we will be able to write these configuration, particular configuration in a particular geometry which is square pyramidal in nature. So, next we will just go from this geometry to the other well known geometry for a coordination number of 5. What we have discussed in detail for the different types of coordination number and the coordination geometry is therefore the trigonal bipyramidal one. The 3 ligands in the trigonal plane, and 2 out of these 2 other ligands, one will be above the trigonal plane and the other would be below the trigonal plane. So, in this particular case we have now these 2 of the ligands are facing now z square. So, compared to this one, here we have this is directly facing. So, dz square would be the most destabilized level. So, the dz square will be most destabilized one, which is facing directly the 2 ligands in this particular direction. Then we have 2 orbitals dxy and dx square minus y square in this particular trigonal plane. So, within this trigonal plane we have these 2 orbitals in xy plane. So, if xy plane belongs to this particular trigonal plane, we have these 2 and these 2 are the most destabilized one in that particular case. So, we have dxy and dx square minus y square, they will form as a doublet. So, there will be no splitting between xy and dx square minus y square. So, they will form the doublet here, and 2 other levels having z component will be the ground state as another doublet. So, nicely we have 2 doublets, this is also E state, this is also E state, and 1 singlet A. So, this particular geometry compared to this one is a different one, and if we get this particular interconversion due to the very pseudo rotation, that if we have any compound which is interconverting between square pyramidal and trigonal bipyramidal geometries, we will find that the corresponding magnetic property will not change for nickel 2, palladium 2 and platinum 2 compound, because all these 4 levels will be occupying by 8 electrons and all of them will be paired. So, pairing in these levels will give rise to a situation which is diamagnetic, and we have the vacant orbital which is different. So, by looking at the vacant orbital, we can differentiate between the square pyramidal and trigonal bipyramidal geometries. In one case it is dx square minus y square level, which is for square pyramidal geometry, and in other case if the dz square level is vacant, our geometry is trigonal bipyramidal. So, that way we can differentiate these, and we should be able to write in the same fashion the way we have written the corresponding electronic configuration in this square pyramidal geometry. We should also be able to write the same nickel electronic configuration in trigonal bipyramidal geometry. So, we should be careful while writing this particular electronic configuration, that which particular level is vacant. Here dx square minus y square is vacant, here dz square is vacant. So, we should not put any electron in dz square level or dx square minus y square level while writing the corresponding metal complex having a coordination number of 5 in these two geometries. So, next we will see how basically the different types of splitting we can have. So, we have the delta value, that means the splitting parameter, the crystal field splitting energy also we can calculate, and other is the corresponding pairing energy term. So, in general the crystal field splitting energy increases as the ligand varies in the following order. That means, we can try to locate the electrons in a particular order, the way we have seen in case of Ni2 plus, the ordering for water, ammonia and ethylene diamine. So, in that particular case the weakest one is the water and the strongest one is the ethylene diamine. So, water would be less than ammonia and less than ethylene diamine. So, this particular part we can put and we can extend that for large number of other groups. So, here we will see that this is water, this is ammonia and this is ethylene diamine. So, this part is fine. The way we have seen simply the color of the compounds with respect to nickel 2, the how bivalent nickel 2 plus is interacting with water molecule or ammonia molecule or ethylene diamine, and how the colors are getting changed, we can simply or straight away we can write this particular ordering. Similarly, for the halides, we know the weakest one is iodide. So, it is basically follow the reverse order in the group what is there in the halogen group in the periodic table. So, reverse order for that, since these are very weak and is the bigger one, iodide ion is the soft one and the bigger one, and therefore is the weakest one. So, iodide which is less than bromide is less than chloride and less than fluoride. So, after fluoride we will put the water. So, then again we will just immediately get the 3, and we put here, we will expand it further also for other type of ligands, but here right now we have the Cn minus is well known, that for cyanide we is a strong filled one, and that gives the square planar complex for nickel 2 plus, which is tetracyanonickelate anion, and immediately it goes for the square planar geometry, and the square planar geometry the corresponding crystal field splitting for Cn minus would definitely be higher than that of ethylene diamine. So, as we write in increasing value of delta, so this is the more or less the straight cut order for 4 plus 4 8 ligands. So, 8 ligands if we can have, and if all of them are interacting with say nickel 2 plus, we can get the typical ordering for increasing value of delta for all these 8 ligands around nickel 2 plus. So, this particular part is not the full one, we will come back to this particular series again. So, this particular part, that means ordering of some ligands in a particular sequence from weak field to strong field with increasing delta, that means I minus the iodide ion has the smaller delta value compared to Cn minus, which has the highest possible delta value in this particular series, is known as spectrochemical series. Since it is affecting the spectra, the optical spectra, the electronic spectra, so the ligands which are affecting and which are giving a corresponding order in this particular sequence, we consider it as a corresponding spectrochemical series. So, on the left hand side, what we have on the left hand side, the I minus, Br minus, Cl minus and F minus, which can be considered as very weak ligand. So, ligands which lead to small values of delta. So, the ligands which are on the left hand side, that means this delta value is increasing from left to right. So, the ligands which are on the left hand side will be weaker in nature, will provide small delta values and are called weak field ligands. So, iodide ion and bromide ion are therefore weak field ligands. So, whenever they form complex, they provide very small delta value and the corresponding electronic transition can also be correlated with that of your very small delta value for the complex. But in the case of the ligands which are on the right hand side of the series, such as En or Cn minus, will find that these lead to large delta values and therefore they are known as strong field ligands. So, we can now have two different types of ligands. One is weak field ligand and another is the strong field ligand, and some of them will be in between. They are intermediate type of ligands. So, we can have the delta, and this delta gives us the corresponding crystal field splitting, and it can account for magnetic properties in terms of high and low spin complexes. So, these high spin and low spin complexes we can have depending upon the nature of the ligand and depending upon the amount of splitting. So, weak field ligands lead to high spin paramagnetic systems. Therefore, we have the corresponding ligands such as the iodide or bromide. So, we can have, if we have the corresponding metal and if we have the iodide say 6 or Mi4, the expectation is that in these cases we can have high spin compounds. Since high spin, therefore, we have large number of free spins present in the complex, and that is why the compounds would be paramagnetic. Since free spins are available where I minus ligands, the iodide ligands cannot force the spin pairing. So, this I and this I cannot force spin pairing. So, for the other type, the strong field ligands, these are weak field ligands. So, we can have strong field ligands as well, lead to low spin diamagnetic system. So, if the field is such that we can pair up all the available electron spin, we will get off a low spin compound, and when S is equal to 0, when all the free spins can be paired up, we get the corresponding diamagnetic system. So, if we can have, we cannot force all the spin to the different orbitals, it cannot be diamagnetic, but it can be paramagnetic with a low spin value. So, these are the two situations where we can have the corresponding cobalt hexafluoro and the cobalt hexacyano species. In one case we have, since the cobalt is in +3 oxidation state, we have the cobalt having 6 electrons. So, it is a 3d6 system. One case we have the high spin situation, that means this is the only known example of cobalt 3 where the corresponding stabilization is much more if we get the corresponding paired up situation in hexacyano cobaltate ion, which is 3, cobaltate 3 ion, which is low spin, where all the 6 electrons will be in the T2G set. So, since this is having some delta value is less, because fluoride we all know is in the left hand side of the spectrochemical series after iodide, bromide, chloride. Therefore, it can have low delta value and giving rise to a high spin situation compared to a situation where we get the corresponding cyanide ligand from the extreme right hand side of the spectrochemical series, where the delta value is very high, we get only the corresponding low spin compound. So, in this situation what we find, that is cobalt 3, which is the trivalent cobalt, which is a 3d6 situation, and we can have the levels like T2G and EG. So, in one case we have the ligand as the weak field ligand, which is F minus, and in another case we have Cn minus, which is strong field. So, the electron occupancy would be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, which is for the corresponding weak field, and for the strong field we have all will be paired, all in the T2G level. So, these two are the T2G, these two are EG level. So, in this particular situation, this one we can write it as T2G4 EG2, and this is T2G6. So, in terms of the corresponding crystal field stabilization energy, if we can find out the E value for this configuration as well as this configuration, and we can compare these values also, we will find this corresponding stabilizations what we can have earlier, what we have seen earlier, that this particular level, this T2G and the EG level, the T2G level was stabilized by corresponding value for these was the 3/5 delta O, and the EG set was 2/5 delta O. So, this 4 will be multiplied by this value and 2 will be multiplied by this value, and this is stabilization which is negative in sign. So, if we add up these two, that means the per electron occupancy will have the corresponding stabilization for minus 3/5 delta 0, and per electron occupancy in the EG level is the 2/5 delta 0. We get this value as minus 2/5 delta 0 plus P. P is the corresponding pairing energy. So, we put this is for this P. So, this is the corresponding pairing, and this pairing is this corresponding pairing energy. Similarly, for the right hand side we have minus 12/5 delta O plus 3 units of corresponding pairing energy term. So, this is the situation, a weak crystal field. So, this will be the balance between this pairing energy and the corresponding splitting. And if we find that a weak crystal field, that means this is the weak field. So, in case of weak crystal field, on the left hand side we have a weak crystal field, and in that situation delta Z O octahedron is less than P. That means this separation is very important, this particular which is less than the corresponding pairing energy. That is why all this electron will go from lower to the upper level. So, this delta 0 is very less compared to the pairing energy. So, we will have less pairing and we get the corresponding high spin complexes having 4 unpaired electrons. So, that is why we have the high spin complexes. So, here we just develop the corresponding high spin complex. Similarly, on the right hand side we have this is the maximum stabilization, and here this is greater than P, though we have the 3 pairing energy term, but since delta O is greater than P, we get the situation where we have the low spin complex. So, straight away we just go from one example which is for the cobalt, that how we calculate these values for the other systems, because these are very important, how we calculate out the E values for these. From there we can compare the corresponding energy for the high spin fragment and the low spin fragment. So, we get for the situations for D4, D5, D6 already we have seen, and D7. So, for D4 we have the corresponding configurations which are T2G3 EG1, E would be equal to minus 3/5 delta 0, and we do not have any pairing. So, P term is not there. This is for high spin, and for low spin we have T2G4 and E is equal to minus 8/5 delta O plus P. Similarly, in case of the corresponding D5 configuration, for D5, and we will calculate for D7 also. For D5 we have two situations, one is T2G3 EG2 and there is T2G5. So, for the high spin situation the E is equal to 0, no crystal field stabilization, and for the low spin E is equal to minus 2 delta O plus 2P. And for the D7 situation we have T2G5 EG2 and T2G6 EG1, and in the former case E is equal to minus 4/5 delta O plus 2P, and in the latter case it is equal to minus 9/5 delta O plus 3p. So, these are the different energy values for the system, and for a particular type of complex we should compare the corresponding situation for high spin and low spin, high spin and low spin situation, and then we just compare the corresponding terms for these delta O and P values, because we know that these two situations we can have that delta O is either less than P or delta O is greater than P. And in some cases also we will discuss that when this is close to P value, which is typically a equilibrium situation, which we will discuss shortly about the corresponding spin state equilibrium. But what about the nature of this phi for the different compounds, that this P value basically falls in the order. P is nothing but when we have large number of electrons, like this 3 such pairing and 2 such pairing, and one orbital is shared by 2 electrons. So, if we can have one particular orbital, if it is in the z direction, that means dz square, and we can have, when this level is filled, we can have a paired electron in this particular level. So, compared to 3 dz square, 4 dz square and 5 dz square, when the principal quantum number is changing from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, the size of these d levels are increasing. That means, the maximum amount of repulsion can be observed when 2 electrons are present in the dz square level only, where this size is bigger compared to 3 dz square to 4 dz square, the size is bigger. So, the repulsion which is being experienced by 2 ligands would be less in case of 4 and in case of 5 also. So, that is why the P, the pairing energy for the pairing of these electrons in these levels basically can fall in the order where 5d level has the lowest pairing energy compared to 4d and then 3d. So, if we just simply compare for these values, we just compare all these in a different way, such that if we have the corresponding energy for the high spin and corresponding energy for the low spin situation, we just simply compare. So, when we have two different types of energies, so there will be situation where we have a value like this, which is the critical crystal field. So, the critical crystal field can give rise to two types of situations where we have either the low spin or the high spin complex, either the high spin complex or the low spin complex, depending upon the situation. So, we see that from this configuration of 3d6, in two situations we can have the high spin and low spin, and we can calculate out the corresponding energy, that means EHS and ELS for these two situations. Then we see that how the pairing energy is changing. Now we see the magnitude of delta, if it can be delta O for octahedral geometry or delta T for the tetrahedral geometry. So, it depends on the variation in the oxidation state of the metal ions. So, if the oxidation state is getting changed, we can have the different values for these, such as we have the ruthenium in +2 oxidation state, where we have 6 water molecules present, and 6 water molecules are surrounding this particular ruthenium in octahedral geometry, and in inverse centimeter scale it will be 19,800. And this can also have some idea about the corresponding pairing energy term, which is also known for the ruthenium system, and we can compare what type of spin state we can have, whether we get this compound as a high spin or a low spin one. But the effect of the oxidation state is drastically observed if we just move from +2 to +3, that means the trivalent ruthenium in the same environment, that means 6 water molecules surrounding in octahedral geometry, giving rise to a corresponding delta value for 28,600 centimeter inverse. So, definitely with oxidation state it is changing. The more and more crystal field is observed as we move from lower oxidation state to higher oxidation state. Then the number of ligands and geometry, which is very important and which is also very much crucial, that how the number of ligands can change a particular geometry as well as the delta value. So, as we have already seen that since more number of ligands are present for octahedral geometry, the delta O is always greater than delta T, which is for the tetrahedral geometry with less number of ligands, that means 4 ligands compared to 6 ligands. And we have seen also that delta T will be equal to almost equal to 4/9 of delta O, and as a result we do not expect any low spin compound in tetrahedral geometry. So, all the tetrahedral complexes in all the cases are high spin in nature, whether it is tetrachloroferrous ion or tetrachloro or hexachloro nickel ion, all will be in the high spin geometry. Then the nature of the ligand, that the nature of the ligand can also change the corresponding environment, which we already seen that we have little bit elaborated value now, the corresponding spectrochemical series. The spectrochemical series, what we have seen earlier is that iodo, bromo, chloro, fluoro, then we have the water, then ammonia and ethylene diamine. Now we have added some more ligands to that particular series such that we can have an extended series involving most of the common ligand systems. So, if we put sulphide and thiocyanate, so sulphide will be less than thiocyanate, and this is basically incorporated between I minus and Cl minus. So, they have intermediate strength of crystal field between I minus and Cl minus. Between Cl minus and F minus, so we have these two, that means NO3 minus, the nitrate ion and the azide ion. Then we have the hydroxide ion and then oxalate ion and the water, and lastly the two well known strong field ligand system what we have already discussed in case of the corresponding nickel compound or the cobalt compound, hexacyanocobaltate and tetracyanonickelate, that cyanide is stronger than water or ethylene diamine. Further, we can consider though carbon monoxide is neutral one, but its typical nature of the bonding that we will discuss in case of molecular orbital picture, that CO will exert more than that of the corresponding delta value compared to Cn minus, though Cn minus has charge, but the neutral CO will have better effect in terms of the corresponding splitting. So, CO will be considered as the strongest possible ligand in the spectrochemical series compared to Cn minus. Now, we just see what we have just seen, the corresponding crystal field stabilization energy we have calculated in detail for D4, D5, D6 and D7, and what we have seen in terms of the corresponding delta octahedron or 10 dq values in terms of the corresponding x and y values, and those values are basically giving rise to corresponding the amount of energy from the barycenter. So, in octahedral field we can write in general the corresponding configuration as T2Gx Eg y this we have seen how we can write a corresponding configuration for D7 or D5. When we have the D7 configuration, we have the T2G5 and EG2. So, we are writing it in the form of T2Gx and EGy, because in the energy term we have considered one as x and another as y. So, occupancy for x and y can be simply very quickly multiplied for the total energy calculation. So, the net energy of the configuration relative to the average energy, which is the barycenter energy of the orbitals, is minus 0.4x plus 0.6y into delta O. That means the octahedral geometries where delta O is 10 dq. And we have seen that beyond D3 what we can have when we have the D4, D5, D6 and D7 situation, we have seen just now that in weak field case delta is less than P, and in strong field case delta is greater than P. We have the T2G4 configuration compared to T2G3 EG1 configuration, where P term also we have considered as the corresponding nice pairing energy, which will control the corresponding spin state. So, when we go for the fourth electron, what can happen? It can go either to the T2G level or the EG level at an extra energy cost of delta 0, or be paired at the energy cost of P. So, balance is between the delta O and P. So, for D4 situation, whether this electron will go up or will be paired over here, that will be dictated by the relative magnitude of delta O and P. So, these are the levels, these reds are EG level and blue are T2G level. So, this is the situation where P is less than delta octahedron. So, we have the corresponding low spin situation. So, is a strong field situation, we have only 2 unpaired electron, and when P is greater than delta octahedron, we get the corresponding weak field or high spin situation with 4 unpaired electrons. So, we can write it in these two forms, whether we are writing P relative to delta octahedron or delta octahedron relative to P, but we should be careful which way we are writing and how we are dealing with the strong field and the weak field situation by looking at the number of electrons in these two levels. And also we are considering, since the energy levels what we are talking about all are electrostatic in energy. So, this particular delta term is related to the Coulombic repulsion energy for the interaction, and the P term is the corresponding exchange energy for the pairing. Then how we find the ground state electronic configuration we have seen just now. So, this is the simplest form of writing diagrammatically. So, how we draw the corresponding diagram for the D4 situation. An example is well known for manganese system, where we have the hexaco manganese 3 pass. Though manganese is in trivalent state, but we get a weak field situation in water environment. So, water environment, manganese in the trivalent state, still we have a high spin complex, that means we have a 4 unpaired electron. So, in this particular situation, the manganese, trivalent manganese cannot force the corresponding pairing in the lower level, that means the delta 0 is less in case of this hexaco manganese compound, and is well known like that of our cobalt cyanide compound, that when we move from aco to cyanide compound, it would be strong field complex, and the total spin in that particular case would be with 2 unpaired electron, the 2 is 1, and we are having the low spin complex only. Then how we place these electrons, that what we have seen just now is pictorially we can elaborate it with the number of unpaired electrons. In case of this low spin one, we have 1 unpaired electron. In case of high spin, we have 5 unpaired electron for D5 situation. In D6 situation, we have the corresponding number of unpaired electrons 0 and 4. In case of cobalt, we have discussed in detail. In case of 7 also, we have the situation here, and we have calculated the corresponding energy values also, and in the D8 situation we have the situation in both these two cases, which is true for nickel in octahedral geometry, that both the two situations we have two unpaired electrons. That means the crystal field will not be able to force the spin pairing for nickel 2 plus, whether it is weak field or strong field, we will have two unpaired electron, whether the splitting is less or splitting is more. Now, we just move on to the different types of distortions what we can have from a regular geometry. So, this we will see that for octahedral geometry, in this octahedral situation, what we find that all the ML bonds are same. So, when all the ML bonds are same, we can have the regular geometry which is related to the typical octahedral geometry, and which is T2G and EG in these two levels, and is octahedral in size and shape. And when we try to elongate this along the z axis, that means the z out situation, the interaction in the z level is less, which will give rise to the stabilization of the dz square orbital. So, this is dz square and this is dx square minus y square. And the situation for the T2G set is also different. So, the T2G set will undergo splitting for tetragonal elongation. So, we have the corresponding crystal field pattern for tetragonal elongation geometry is that the dxz and yz will form the doublet, the dxy is here, which will be destabilized compared to this z square, and we have the other two levels. And if we further take out this z axis to infinite distance, which we have discussed right now, that in the situation where the symmetry is not changing from D4H to D4H, but we do not have two electron, the coordination number around the metal ion is changing from 6 to 4. And we have further destabilization of dx square minus y square orbital and further stabilization of dz square, because we do not have any z interaction along the z axis. And that gives rise to further stabilization of dz square orbital, and at the expense of that stabilization we have destabilization of the dxy orbital and stabilization of dxz and yz. So, we get the ordering for square planar geometry. So, as we move from octahedral to square planar, more and more we are taking away, pulling away the z axis ligands. So, we have direct correlation for this T2G set to this doublet set, this T2G set to this dxy level, similarly for EG for this dz square and EG for this dx square minus y square level. And now, if we go in the opposite direction, that means which is known as tetragonal compression. So, this is tetragonal elongation on the right hand side, and on the left hand side it is tetragonal compression. So, in case of compression, the ordering for the elongation is completely reversed. So, doublet will now be destabilized compared to dxy, and these two, that means dx square minus y square and dz square, would be again splitted, but in the reverse order as we have seen for the corresponding elongation. So, this dz square would be up and dx square minus y square will be down. So, in a tetragonally compressed form, our dz square would be the most destabilized one, and which we will find that which is the compressed one means we have a short metal ligand distance, we have the ligands, and the situation is completely different compared to our square planar situation. And the square planar situation we do not have any ligand in the z direction, but here we have the interaction is more in the z direction and we have a short metal ligand distance in the z direction. That is why the dz square is mostly destabilized in tetragonal compression, whereas the dz square is stabilized in square planar geometry. Similarly, this dx square minus y square is comparatively stabilized compared to dz square, which was mostly destabilized in case of the square planar geometry. So, these are the relative ordering. So, if we have a typical electronic configuration for say 3D n. So, this 3D n configuration, and we should be able to write the corresponding electronic configuration quickly if we have an octahedral geometry or a tetragonally compressed or tetragonally elongated or square planar. So, if we have some idea about all these, so we should be able to write down the electronic configuration for any 3D n system for these typical distortions. So, if we have distortions on any 3D n electronic configuration in all these 4 geometries, we should be able to write down their electronic configuration nicely from these orderings of these different d levels. Then we will extend to our next class also that how these distortions can be very much effective for the corresponding Jahn-Taylor effect. So, this is a very simple and effective effect. This can be known from the corresponding interactions. If we can have a geometrical distortion of molecules and ions that is associated with certain electronic configuration. So, the electronic configuration will now dictate the corresponding distortion. Just now what we have seen that the geometry which we can have, a particular type of geometry can distort the corresponding molecule, and the ordering for the different levels for the electrons, the different d levels are changing. But now we find that the differential occupancy of these levels can also distort the structure. So, this is a reverse effect now. We have a different electronic configuration, and due to that different electronic configuration we see the distortions. So far we have discussed about the distortion first, then on the basis of those distortions we are looking for the corresponding electronic configurations. Now we see that this JT effect or Jahn-Taylor effect is only operative for certain electronic configurations, and those electronic configurations are sensitive for this particular effect, would be sensitive for this particular effect. So, when orbitals of a highly symmetrical nonlinear polyatomic molecule are degenerate, the degeneracy is resolved or lifted. We do not have the degeneracy. Degeneracy means we do not have all the levels together. That means we have seen that we have a triplet level, the T2G level, or a doublet level which is a corresponding EG level. So, this triplet level and the doublet level has some degeneracy of 2 and 3. So, that particular degeneracy will be resolved or lifted if we have a particular type of electronic configuration which will be able to distort the molecular framework to attain lower symmetry, thus lower energy. So, we will have the distortion due to this electronic configuration, and the symmetry of the system will be changed, such as the corresponding elongated situation from the octahedral geometry, and as a result we will have the corresponding energy term which will be also lowered due to that particular splitting. So, if we have a splitting, we would be able to generate some of these levels which will be lower in energy compared to the other. That means at the expense of some level we get a lower energy situation and a higher energy situation, and since the electronic configuration will dictate that it will go for one particular level compared to the other. So, we will see that if this is can be a regular geometry, but if it is for a copper ion, the copper 2 plus, which have some unequal occupancy in the Eg level. So, this particular molecule would be able to go for some kind of distortion, where we get this through some electronic configuration which will be applicable for tetragonally elongated one. So, that will give rise to the corresponding Jahn-Teller effect, and that we will discuss in detail in our next class. Thank you very much.